Hi there. I and my buddy Joe English are sending our regards and would like to uh, answer some ACT English test questions today. So, without further ado, let's share the PDF. All right. So, here we go. Today, we're going to do this passage entitled How Old Am I? All right. As a child growing up in two cultures, I found this contest a bit confusing. So he's talking about growing up in two cultures. He talks about Korean and then American. Yeah. So he's comparing Korean and American ways of doing things. And so the best choice here in 16 would be difference. Yeah, this difference between the two, it's not a contest, it's a difference between the two cultures. Not a dispute, not a change, but difference. The right word is difference. So J is the correct answer. If we move to 17, what he says here, to add to the confusion, every New Year's Day, a person according to this Korean counting system, comma, becomes a year older. All right, so he's saying a person, blah, 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 becomes a year older. So the whole thing between starting from according to system should be a parenthetical uh, uh, phrase or a parenthetical clause, depends. So according to this counting system, this is a parenthetical phrase. So we should use a comma after person. So B is the correct answer. So he is saying a person becomes a year older. Okay, according to this Korean counting system, would have a comma before and after because it's a parenthetical. We can easily delete it and the sentence would make sense. So B is the correct answer. Let's move to question 18 here. Starts with uh, what he says. Yeah, older regardless of his or her actual birthday. Birthdays are important throughout the world. A person who is 16 years old on his or her birthday in March would become 17 years old on the following year, New Year's, even though he or she isn't expected to turn 17 in American years until that next birthday in March. So, no change. Most cultures celebrate birthdays. Birthdays focus attention on culture's youth. Delete the underlined portion. Birthdays are important through the year, throughout the year. So he's talking mainly about the difference between American and Korean culture in uh, calculating a person's age when his birthday comes or when the New Year's come in Korean, even if he or she didn't reach that age yet. So this sentence, there's no need for this sentence at the beginning of this paragraph. So J would be the best answer. Okay, if something is not needed, so why should we keep that? So J seems to be the best choice here because it doesn't add anything necessary to the paragraph. Okay, moving on to 19. He says here, in Korean culture, perhaps the celebration of New Year's Day in Korean culture is heightened because it is thought of as everyone's birthday party. Okay, so heightened is a good choice, but if we say raised, lifted, lighted, no. Heightened meaning it is stressed. It means a lot to everybody because once the new year begins, even if you are born in November, then you become 1 year older, even if you need 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 months into the new year to reach that age. That is the culture in Korea. So heightened here means, let's say, more accentuated, more stressed. So that is the best choice here. So no change is the best choice. All the other options would not be acceptable. Okay, we go to number 20. Upon a review of uh, Upon reviewing this paragraph, the writer considers deleting the preceding sentence. If the writer were to delete the sentence, so the preceding sentence says, yeah, let's read the preceding sentence. Perhaps the celebration of New Year's Day in Korean culture is heightened because it is thought of as everyone's birthday party. What would happen if we delete that sentence? The paragraph would primarily lose a comment on the added significance of the Korean New Year celebration. Yes, I think that's it. Or a repetitive reminder of what happens every birthday, a defense of the case, celebrating birthday, an illustration of Korean counting system. Now that is F, a comment on the added significance of the Korean New Year celebration. Because in Korea, the New Year is not just a New Year celebration, it adds one a year to everybody's age, even if that person is, let's say, born in the middle of the year, like in June or July, they would call him one year older. That's the culture in Korea. So this is a comment on the added significance. So F is the best answer. If we go to 21, uh, yeah. Today, after many birthdays and New Year's days, I now find meaningful the difference I once found confusing. Otherwise, this difference points to. So there's no otherwise then here doesn't make sense. Because there are no otherwise, there's no contradiction. We shouldn't use though or something. But the best choice here would be, in fact, okay, this difference points to blah, blah, blah. So he's talking about differences between Korean and American cultures because that person lived in both cultures. And so the best choice here would be, in fact, this difference points to significant underlying blah, blah, blah. Okay? Yeah. All right. So, in fact, and then he says or she says this difference points to significant underlying cultural values. So, usually we use the preposition to after point, points to. Okay. So, thank God. In this case, we should use point two, so no change is the best choice. Okay. We don't say point on or something. Yeah. So we usually say point to the significance. Okay. So let's go to 23. The practice of advancing a person's age seems to me to reflect the value of a society places on life experience and longevity. So no change sounds correct because a person's age, that is apostrophe S for possessive case. If we say, because here it is uh, preceded by the indefinite article a, it's one person. So B is not the correct answer. C also because we are talking about one person. Person's age, comma, we should not uh, separate the subject and the verb, so D would be wrong. So uh, as we decided that A is the best answer here. If we read it one more time, it would sound, the practice of advancing a person's age seems to me to reflect the value of society places on life experience and longevity. So that makes perfect sense. We don't need any change here. So 23A. Moving on to 24, yeah. Their idea was demonstrated often when my elderly relatives. Okay, we should say this idea was demonstrated because we're not talking about any there and referring back to they. Is saying that this idea of adding to one's age as in the Korean culture, so the best choice here is J. Okay, this would refer to uh, what happens in the culture, in the uh, Korean culture, not to specific people like they said that or this is their idea or something. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to 25, if we read, yes. So this idea was demonstrated often by my elderly relatives, by my elderly relatives who took pride in reminding younger folk of their Korean age. So by, it is often demonstrated by or was demonstrated often by. So by here is the best choice. Okay, we say demonstrated by, like said by, explained by. Okay, if we move to 26, okay, what does he say here? Korean age. Yeah, and then a new sentence. With great enthusiasm, they added on a year every New Year's Day. Yeah, that's actually the custom in Korean culture, as they explained earlier, and it makes sense. So no change. Yeah, which choice would most clearly communicate the elderly relatives or elderly relatives' positive attitude? With enthusiasm or with great enthusiasm would reflect their positive attitude better than duplicating or living with two birthdays or obligingly. The best way to express their positive attitude is by saying with great enthusiasm. So F, no change, is the best answer. If we move on to 27 and read, okay, by contrast, American society has often been described as one that values the vibrant energy of youth. So, no change. It sounds correct. But if we try to say whose values the vibrant energy, described as one whose values, no, because that refers back to the American people, the American culture, the American custom, and this values, or also this doesn't make sense here. That refers back to the American society, whom cannot be used because it is a subject. Here, the American society is the subject, not the object, and whom, as you know, is used when we replace an object of a clause, not a subject of a clause. So the best choice is that, which means who values. The American society who or that values the vibrant energy of youth. Okay, so no change is the best answer here. Moving on to 28. Yes. Okay, let's see. If the writer were to delete the phrase the vibrant energy of and the wisdom and experience gained with from the preceding sentence, the sentence would primarily lose its personal and reflective tone, an element of humor, details that illustrate the contrast. I think H details, because when he talks about the Korean culture, they value experience and wisdom and so on, while in America, as they say, the American society appreciates the vibrant energy of youth better. So these are specific details that uh, show or explain the contrast between the American and Korean culture. So H is the best choice. Moving on to 29. Okay. Yeah. And yes, after a certain age, many Americans I know would balk, refuse, and hesitate at the idea of adding a year or two to what they regard as their actual age. So both can refuse the similar things. So why should we repeat it? So if we say only both would be the best choice. Okay, both can hesitate, refuse, and both. So we explained this before. If you have all the choices, including one word like both, and then the others include other things that are similar in meaning, we don't need that because wordness is not appreciated on the ACT. Being shorter is better. So both, if it makes sense, then it is the correct answer. So D is the correct answer. Our last question today. Even something as visibly simple, okay, or natural as computing uh, person's age can prove to be not so clear cut. So should we say visibly simple, or should we say that is no change, or apparently simple, entirely simple, and fully simple? We usually say apparently simple. This apparently simple, not visibly nor fully simple. We don't say fully simple, simple thing, something simple, not complicated. We usually say apparently simple. So G is the ratio. It's like collocation. It's a question on collocation. What goes with what? What word goes with what word? We don't say visibly simple, but we say apparently simple. Although it is apparently simple, but blah, blah, blah. It's talking about how to calculate age in both Korean and American cultures. So thank you for following, and we will meet in coming videos. As my tip for people taking the ACT test either in February or in April, stay calm while on the actual test. If you miss some questions, that's no problem. You also need to make a choice. Don't leave a question unanswered. And also, my tip for you is to start answering ACT tests at home. They don't have to be timed at the beginning, but as the exam grows closer, like 1 week or so before the actual ACT, try to time your answers at home so you get a feel of the real test. On the real test, don't panic no matter what. The only way to get high score is to stay calm. Even if you have questions that you don't know the answer of, use process of elimination and then use your gut feeling to try to get the answers of questions that you don't know. Good luck to everybody and